Everybody, welcome to the pregame show. These are the Dungeon Scrawlers. Yeah, we're looking for a ritual site in the game upcoming, and just trying to survive the heat before then and during then, because
it's
it's
an
really hot in
unusually warm
Seattle.
day.
And we don't have air conditioning because we're Seattle, and that's just not a thing here. So,
yeah. Y'all should take a picture of us so you can see what we look like now, and then in 3 hours when we are sweaty AF.
Yep. Before and after
Hoping
shots.
Shiny
the sun
face.
goes down and it cools off.
Wait,
Is my fan too noisy?
sweaty?
Can't
hear
Sweaty
you.
Air Force? Sweaty Air Force?
Sweaty Air Force? Oh, no.
No.
You don't know AF.
I'm kidding.
Oh, I was like, you teach teenagers. You know AF.
AF
Okay,
is one of
I
our
must say
substitutes
this.
to avoid dropping that one F-bomb.
I must say this though. I was driving through Capitol Hill last March, I think, and I saw 3 letters on the side of a dumpster, and I thought, Bureau of Land Management? Why would anyone spray paint Bureau of Land Management on the side of a dumpster? Whatever. and then I caught up later.
Bureau of Land Management is just extremely relevant in our modern socioeconomic situation. I can't finish it.
Sociopathic.
The world is on fire, okay?
Mm-hmm.
As is our city. So
Do you know that our the West right now is as dry as it normally is in the middle of summer?
Great.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah. Normally,
We're all gonna die. I better finish up this arc pretty fast then.
but I gotta tell you, there's gonna be a F load of morel mushrooms next year. 'Cause the entire West Coast will burn, and that's what they like.
Oh, Star Chaser with the pun in the chat. So many fans here, but not one can help with the AC. Ah! Thanks.
Look on the
Dad joke. Okay.
would look on the bright side, Stephen.
Yeah, thank you. I'm very happy to do that for you.
The bright side, like, what's that thing in the sky? That bright side?
Mushrooms.
Mushroom bright.
Okay. That's a good bright side. I don't know. My plan is to drink bourbon until I stop feeling the heat. This session brought to you by Foolproof 1792, which is a very good one. Not a sponsor, although, call us.
1792. Did something important happen on that day? That number?
Yes.
What?
Something important happens every day, Stephen.
Wait. Is that when the Constitution was finally ratified? I mean, did it take that long?
That was 1783.
Oh,
I'm going to look on Wikipedia
yeah.
because I want to know, why is it called that? Why might it be called that? I feel like that's something you write on your label, unless you just want to be
Yeah.
cryptic.
Yeah.
It's too dark for me to read the label.
The year blah blah blah.
Well, the foolproof.
Wait.
not
The
foolproof.
bourbon has
Foolproof.
its own wiki page.
Yeah, of course
Oh,
it does. It's its own. It's its own. Thing. Anyway, it's set
Listen,
at
I
its
know
original
from personal experience
125
that they'll just give a
barrel
wiki
entry
page
proof,
to
so-
anybody, but I didn't expect the bourbon to have one.
We should have a wiki page. Hey, let's write one right now.
Someone else has to make it, because if you've got your name on it, they'll I think they flag it.
Okay. I'll use a pseudonym for me.
Just get your children to do it. Your,
Why does our wiki page talk
teenagers.
so much about Steven all the time?
This entry is written by
It's the
someone
year
named.
Kentucky became a state, if anyone's
Ah.
curious. Which
Ah.
I thought Kentucky, well, actually, that's one of those questions I've never satisfactorily answered because I'm curious and then I'm actually not that interested. Why is Kentucky a Commonwealth and not a state? Or is that just a thing they call themselves?
Same with Virginia.
It is a state.
Why does it call itself the Commonwealth of Kentucky?
I don't know.
Well, did
But
you
it's
Google that?
legally recognized as a state.
Okay, then my question is the other thing.
Okay.
Virginia.
You're the one
Why
with
is
the wiki page
Virginia?
open.
I'm looking.
Okay.
I
I
was
thought we were
just
playing,
checking
like,
in case
trivia.
somebody knew.
Oh yeah. No,
I got no idea. I'm
Yep.
actually an immigrant. I'm not even a U.S. citizen.
Why is it called the Commonwealth of
I
Kentucky? Is
don't have
that
to know
the?
this stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yang
Ask me
Yang
about
is a
China. Don't ask
Yang
me
Yang
about
is a
China.
Chinese infiltrator. So
Don't
Be
ask me
careful.
about Chinese history. I will shame my family.
yeah.
And it's all about honor in China. I learned that from that Disney movie recently.
Mulan. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, Western media has taught me a lot about honor in my family.
I
Do you
learned,
mean Mulan or do you mean Raya the Last Dragon?
oh no,
Oh,
it was
Raya.
Mulan. I think she that was the moral of the story. You have restored honor to our village. And everyone in the audience rolled their eyes and went, that really?
Good job, Disney. Good job.
Yeah.
Not a sponsor, but do call us.
I don't want Disney
Yeah,
to sponsor us. I don't want to open that can of worms.
Yeah, our show would become really different. They're super controlling.
I don't know.
Mm.
Part of me's like, you know what? Give us the money. I'll say
Yeah.
thanks. I'll walk
Hey.
away. We'll do a new thing. Like, if
Ooh.
that's how it works, I might be open to that.
Hey,
J.J.
we'll just
Abrams
sell
will
the
take
franchise.
over. There'll be all kinds of screen flare.
And then
We'll
we
have
could say it was
storylines
cool
that go
when we were
nowhere.
indie. It was cool
Yeah.
when we were
So-
indie.
So
You know how I can emulate screen flare in our show?
Is it your
Just put
hand?
my extremely pale hands right up to the.
There you go.
that's good. Make
That's
sure they
actually-
yeah,
flash
just
the
your
side
win-
though, so they're a surprise. Like
Oh,
Roll
hey,
it.
nice.
Oh, I had it for a moment.
You're gonna
Mine's
blind our
fire.
entire audience. Ah!
Take this, viewers.
ah, oh, the show's been hit. Everybody tilt to the right. Everybody
Daylight
tilt to the
attack.
left.
Seriously though, I don't want to cause anybody to have epileptic seizures or anything. So let's
might be
stop
good.
before we make it too flashy.
remember, any publicity is good publicity.
So
Um,
I found
causing
out
your
the
audience
answer.
to have seizures is not good publicity.
Yeah,
Please
so
don't do
speaking of
that.
publicity, thanks to somebody here, we actually have a new follower that other people might know. His name happens to be, what is this? How do you pronounce this? Rothfuss? Roth. And his first name is like Pat.
Yes,
Rick?
Rothfuss is now following us.
Rothfuss? What?
Patrick Rothfuss. Yeah, his official Twitch channel followed us.
So you
Wow.
talking trash about him a couple episodes ago, that's what got him
What are you
to
talking
follow
about?
us.
What are you talking about? Where's that? When did it happen?
No, that didn't
Never
happen.
It probably never happened.
Yeah, what are you talking about, Eric? You crazy.
You know
Patrick,
who
if you're watching
really-
this, that never happened.
We
You know
love
who really sucks? Neil Gaiman really sucks. No, that's
Oh
not true.
god.
What?
Neil's gonna follow us in 2 weeks. Watch.
Who else can we talk about?
So this is what happened. He is friends with B Dave. Trevor, B Dave, and I started doing a podcast, which you should all come on, called Writing
Okay.
About Dragons and Shit,
Oh
which
yeah.
everybody should listen to. And spoiler alert, Pat came on and talked about world building.
Sweet.
And then when we did the end thing where we said, hey, check us out on our places, he said, oh, I'm not following any of you. Tell me your Twitch channels again. And in that moment I went, oh, it's good we deleted that. But anyway, it doesn't matter. So I guess he followed us. I followed him. I didn't follow him from the Scrawlers account though.
He is definitely very, very good at world building. So that must have been a treat.
He's very deep at
Ooh.
world building.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So hey, Eric, I saw that in August they're coming out with a new Dungeon Master screen and stuff like that.
That's interesting.
And I was like, oh, we'll just get the D&D Beyond version. And I was like, I wonder what that'll be like. Like it just pops up in front and you're like trying to move it out of the way so that you can see your character sheets and other information. Like
No.
In my lap.
the Roll20 version just pops up and you're trying to get it out. Damn, there's always the layer in front.
I have recently learned how to put images and stuff on my feed. I just haven't done it on this stream, so I could do that. I could put a little Dungeon Master screen in front of me, just over the front half of my image.
Just
Sure,
peer
there you
over it.
You should at least make it your background.
but books.
Books.
It's so much easier to do
Mm.
that.
I
All
do
right.
like looking at your shelves.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So today in the heat, what did you all do to stay reasonably cool? Anything exciting?
I put together this
I
new
wanna-
chair that I got. I don't know if you guys could tell that I'm sitting in a new
Ooh.
throne.
Oh yeah! Wow, it's huge. That's like
Yeah.
Starship Enterprise throne room type. thing.
Yeah, it's one of
Great.
the Secret Lab Titan chairs. I decided to finally just like make the splurge and give my back a treat, because
Yeah.
the chair that I had before was one of those bungee cord chairs.
Mm.
That is a young person's game. I am no longer that young.
Good for you, buddy.
My house,
I-
fortunately, is like shaded enough that as long as you kind of open windows in the right order through the day, it stays cool. This
Yeah.
shed is a little oven, so it sucks in here. But
That sucks.
So how many people went through their apartment phase where they have the big, what are they called? The big wicker bowl kind of chair. with the
papasan
futon-
chairs?
A papasan chair.
I have never owned one. Kevin owned one in his.
Or
house.
a futon. Who's in the futon? Or what are other popular young person furniture?
A couch that's had at least 3 other owners.
Well, yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
a given. I mean, most of your furniture when you start out is inherited or.
Picked up off the street.
Mhm.
A daughter is moving home soon. That's exciting.
Nice.
That's cool that it's exciting.
It's good. It's gonna be good to see her.
Yeah.
And then she'll go back to living with 10 other girls in a big house by the campus soon. And then
Mhm.
for the summer, she'll save a little money. It'll be fun to have her around.
She'll return to the sitcom
Yep.
after the summer. Yeah.
Yep. Ah,
So
I
Rhiannon's
put my
not
head-
here, as people have no doubt
Oh, yeah.
observed. And
Right.
indeed, Rhiannon will not be here this evening. She has other family stuff going on. So we can assume that Mia has redoubled her efforts to see exactly how effective her magic is in the ring world. And if you watched the previous episode, you know exactly what I mean when I say that. So
She's like a
she's
goddess in that ring.
boning
Yeah.
her,
She's like
her
Scarlet Witch in the
illusion
ring.
sex toy.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. Anyway,
yeah, that is her own. What's the name of that neighborhood from the Scarlet Witch show?
Completely forgotten.
Westview.
Yeah, like that's her Westview. It's her Westview ring.
Yeah. Westgate, Westview. Yeah. Wow, this
Too
light
hot
is
to
real
eat.
intense on the side of my face.
How hot actually is it? Because I want to say it's at least 130, but I
Still
think
right
I
there.
might be
Jeez.
exaggerating.
Might be inside.
Maybe a little.
We're all like dying in the heat, but it's like mid 80s.
It's 82 degrees in Redmond.
Yeah. Now
So we-
remember,
85 degrees in this shed.
we got to put this in perspective. It's very humid here, and we're not accustomed to this. We're not ready for this. Most of
Mid-
us don't have air conditioning.
No.
Very few of us even have fans.
Midwest folks, it is not that humid here, but it's humid enough to suck.
Oh, it's not as humid as the Midwest. No. You're
No
When
all,
I
way,
first
yeah, or
moved
East
here, I
Coast.
thought, why does everybody say it's humid? It's quite nice.
you're all living in
but
hell
I've lived
right
here.
there. I'm just saying.
I've lived, yeah, no, like it's like breathing washcloths. It's awful.
Right.
It's what happens when
Mhm.
you build your city in what is actually a swamp.
Yeah, everywhere east of the Rockies is like that. It's
There's a lot of them.
it's really, I don't understand. I used to tell, well, it was very snobby of me, but I used to tell a girl that I dated for many years in Virginia that the only reason people live there in the summer is because they don't know any better. But it's the very reason I would never have moved to the East Coast for that reason. It's just so miserable in the summer. Summer's supposed to be when you go outside and enjoy yourself, but everyone goes inside to get away from summer.
It's sort of the modern version of like a Roman baths. You have like the caldarium, the really hot water you jump in, and you go in the frigidarium, and it's like good for your autonomic nervous system or something. You go out into the 95-degree, 99% humidity. Actually, 100% humidity is nonsense because it's like it starts raining and then the rain evaporates before it hits the ground. The like steam room grossness. Then you go into the store where the air conditioning is cranked up really high and you're freezing, and then you come back out and it's good for you somehow. I'm pretty sure that's why it's like that. No.
So in the chat, Jazeera asked about whether we had it in Celsius.
I looked it up. It's 28. Thank
you for that. We Americans, we tend to be pretty terrible at Celsius. The measure that I have for Celsius is that the thing I can remember about Celsius is not 0 Celsius is freezing, 100 Celsius is boiling. That's not how I think of it. What I think of it is 37 degrees Celsius is human body temperature. And the reason I think that is because there's that mini game in Final Fantasy VII where you have to like heat yourself up as you climb the mountain up to 37 degrees Celsius if you want to reach the next ledge. Fun fact.
Fun and educational.
Yes, this is a very educational game.
So kind of a tangent, I guess, but like I am a very like warm-bodied person, so I will be the first to admit that I am like a hot weather wuss. Like if it's warm at all, I am just dying. I am like boiling in my own skin.
Yeah, kind of same.
Yeah. So like on the positive side, like whenever I have like, my ex-girlfriends all really, really like love the fact that I'm so warm all the time because like in Seattle it's cold. And so like in the evenings they will just touch all their icy hands and feet to me and like suck my warmth out of my body. But on the flip side, I always get yelled at whenever it's super hot. And then I like try to like, put a hand on their cold shoulder to like cool me down. And then they're just like, get the F off. What do you think you're doing?
I am apparently a furnace.
So unfair.
Which is good during the winter and not good during the spring and summer.
Then they say things about chivalry.
Yeah.
But it's dead, so it's fine.
That's right.
Chivalry and God. Nietzsche and I don't know, who's the purveyor of chivalry? Yes.
Ooh, Kierkegaard? I don't know. I think he talked about knights. Like
are you talking about real life or are you talking about Forgotten Realms?
Well,
because Torm is the god of chivalry in the Forgotten Realms.
Okay. Torm and Nietzsche. Hanging out together. Nietzsche's like, you're a god, aren't you? He's like, yeah, you're dead. That's not very chivalrous of you.
That Nietzsche quote is always taken out of context.
Well, I know.
All right.
I know that. But
it's fine. It's fine.
Do you want to know something? Speaking of stuff that's repeated different than is accurate, I learned something today. Or not today, it was last night. The Library of Alexandria did not actually burn down.
Oh, really?
No. The reason that the Library of Alexandria was destroyed was actually anti-intellectualism and a lack of funding, which I think is way more poignant. Yep. One of the Ptolemies was had started passing laws that were pushing out intellectuals. So the head librarians screw this and exiled himself. And then they couldn't get people to work there. And then the government wouldn't fund it. And they kept selling off stuff. And eventually it fell into disrepair. It did partially burn down, but they generally think that during Caesar's civil wars that it was just a warehouse that burnt down, which isn't ideal, but it's not the whole library. But yeah, so we tell this story about, the tragedy of the Library of Alexandria and how sad it is. And everybody who loves books is still so upset about it. And it's like, no, be upset by the fact that government said this wasn't important and didn't take care of it. That is a much more important message to hold on to. I don't know why you don't repeat that. It is a tragedy. It's just a tragedy that's hold that in your head and apply it to your modern life instead of,
a much more modern tragedy.
The far off legend
tragedy,
of
very, very real, true to life, and very timely tragedy.
A preventable tragedy.
Future footnote, similar to the U.S. Library of Congress in 2028 or something. That's just no.
I love libraries. They're just,
I love libraries.
public
too.
libraries are so great.
They're
Yeah, I feel
pretty awesome.
like there's so many historical facts that we're taught that are actually just like untrue. I
Yeah.
feel like I've spent like years of my life in my 30s unlearning historical facts that I learned in my childhood.
Mhm.
What's a good one? Do you know? Can you think of any off the top of your head?
1493,
brain.
Columbus sailed the deep blue sea.
It's always so
That's-
hard to remember stuff like that on the spot.
I had some friends in school
Chat,
who
what are some
were
of your favorites?
very,
Oh, just
very
toss it in
happy
chat.
about teaching their children that story, that rhyme, anyway. Historical misconceptions.
Well, I did think of a bunch of them, but I feel like they're all like a lot of them are related to like segregation in the South in America, and like I don't really want to talk about that topic. So
Fair.
I'm like,
Right.
yeah, what are some fun ones?
This is insane.
Fun ones.
There's a lot
think
about
of
like
tragic
medieval
ones.
history that people misunderstand because the Victorians recontextualize it to justify their own weirdness.
See, we're
Those are
missing
ones in
Rhiannon.
my
Rhiannon would know tons of these.
Rhiannon would know some too, yeah.
It's true. She is our resident historian. Well, since it's Pride Month, a lot of people seem to think that pride comes from some, nice, gentle, we march down the street, not a, anti-police riot provoked when some police tried to arrest a bunch of trans women of color at the Stonewall Tavern. So, yeah. That's a common misconception. Everyone thinks that, oh, it's such a nice, celebration. Yes, it is, but it's hard fought. Happy Pride, everybody.
Happy Pride.
That's an extreme simplification. You should definitely read about that. Don't watch the movie, read about it. That's my suggestion. So let's see.
There's a whole wiki page for listed common misconceptions about the Middle Ages.
Other common misconceptions: that Napoleon was extremely short. Not really true. He was average height for his era. But the image of him being extremely short was a British propaganda thing. Because Britain was trying to save the world from Napoleon. Well, I mean, mostly themselves from Napoleon. But since Britain owned a lot of the world, I guess you can make the argument. And by owned, I mean conquered, obviously. Yeah.
I don't know what I was looking up the other day.
Misconceptions about history that D&D probably taught you. Knights, their primary weapon was the sword. Not really true. Primary weapons were lances, maces, picks, flails, things like that. Big bludgeoning weapons to knock people down. Swords were for, close-up work once you had somebody down. Also, longbows are gigantic. You don't fold them up and keep them on your back.
Yeah, I think that is actually one of the big misconceptions was that, like plate mail and knights on horseback like weren't really like a prevalent part of the military system. We have this image that they were, and of like the genteel knight, like, coming in full plate mail, riding on a shining horse that may or may not also be in plate mail, but that was like A, too expensive, and B, completely impractical. Most people just wore like chain shirts. Like mobility was key, and like the invention of like firearms, like old firearms, and like the plate mail era, like shortly, like it coincided so tightly that it like essentially clipped off the age of knights. Like I remember there was like this one story about like the last knight and the last crusade, where it was like this dude from Sweden. He like led his entourage of like conquering knights with like their splendid armor and splendid tents into like Europe or like the East, and he like started trying to like conquer the peasants there, and all the peasants did were they just pulled them off their horses and just beat them to death with sticks and stones.
Good times.
Because plate armor is impractical.
Obviously, a lot of the things that I've recently, like in recent years, have learned were vastly untrue from the way I was told. Were obviously all the religious stuff, but so I won't get into that. But like, you know, that Moses didn't even exist, Abraham, you know, all of that stuff. Like, it's like, wow. Like, I mean, I yeah, you know, I always took it as metaphorical at first, but the fact that they didn't even really probably exist and stuff like that was just sort of like, whoa. But yeah, also from Knight's Tale, I learned that after jousts, they would sing David Bowie songs. So this,
They don't
I'm
tell you.
pretty sure, is historically accurate.
Teach the controversy.
Yeah, yeah.
Duh.
Okay, so we are at 6:26. Is there any other fact somebody wants to share real quick?
I looked
Speaking
up-
of, oh, sorry, go ahead.
It's
Erin.
not that big. I was reading To Say Nothing of the Dog, which is one of my favorite books, and they were talking about Coventry Cathedral, and I was looking up stuff about Coventry Cathedral, and I found out the myth of Lady Godiva. Lady Godiva was an actual person, but she probably never went naked down the street. That is some Puritan propaganda. She probably went down the street in her shift like a penitent to shame her
Which-
husband out of doing taxes.
But she did make really good chocolate.
Well, that's not, I mean, that's just not even up for discussion, of course.
Yeah.
Speaking of both A Knight's Tale and of walking naked down the street, Chaucer probably did not walk naked down the street, and he probably could not phase through solid objects like the vision. But, you know.
And on that note, we are going to the recap theater. Be back in a few minutes.
New lighting, new sound. Let's go. Welcome back, everybody. Looks like we had quite the time last time, didn't we? The Irregulars went into the ring to talk to Fane, and, well, Fane had a lot to say. Now, Fane didn't exactly enjoy getting left in Artemisia's ring space, which we are now dubbing the Bang Zone for reasons that you will soon see, especially since she got left in there with a doppelganger of her very own father. Well, doppelganger is the wrong word. More like a sophisticated illusion. But because Artemisia controls ring space, she was able to reshape the illusion to more resemble her red dragon boyfriend. And yes, she has a red dragon boyfriend. Of course, that also meant that while the rest of the Irregulars were questioning Fane, Artemisia went off somewhere else in the ring space to, well, have private time with her scaly boy. Of course, this being Fane, it was not easy to get her to do what they wanted her to do. But apparently, the ring space made it so that Fane couldn't lie. In fact, she gave a lot more information than she even wanted to, so it had some effect on what she was willing to say and what she wasn't. Mostly, at least according to the theory, because Artemisia has complete control over the space, and wanted her to tell the truth. This also allowed the Irregulars some leeway with Sarshan's strange curse. It didn't circumvent it completely, though, because, well, later, once they left the ring space, it all came crashing back down on him, so that wasn't great. But as I said, Fane had a lot to say. Some of it good, some of it awful. She likes me? Really? Ugh. Of course, the Irregulars were kind enough to let me know via a sending that apparently the Night King was a former lover of Alira. And to make matters worse, she still had feelings for him, which could complicate a future confrontation. She also spilled the beans on what she knew of the Night King's ritual, so that was good at least. Armed with this new knowledge, the Irregulars emerged from the ring where I'd left it at Briar House 3 days ago, and made their way to the inn or tavern or wherever that Fane keeps her safe house, where she'd stashed the chalice. Unfortunately, things were not good. The whole place was deserted, and when they went into the basement safe house, it looked like Fane had lost the chalice. Bodies littered the floor, and the spot where she kept the chalice was empty. But hey, Sorrow was there, at least, pulling herself out of a pile of bodies, which it's about the same as usual. So that left everything in a pretty bad spot, so we'll see where that goes. In the meantime, I have Illira to talk to.